I don't want no oil a-spoiling my shoreline. I like fish much better than crud. I like birds and things a-creeping and crawling. Won't trade no more oil for blood. The sun done give us all we need to make this country run. But that black demon oil's got us fussing and fighting, and I do believe it's time we was done. I don't want them nukes run by them kooks who think radioactivity is fun. No more three-headed frogs or kids with leukemia. Nuclear power ain't fit for a dog. The sun done give us all we need to make this country run. But that nuclear power's got us fussing and fighting, and I do believe it's time we was done. No nukes!
Good morning, Toledo, and good afternoon, Columbus. Hello to everyone listening on the internet and our Pacifica stations, wherever and whenever you are. My name is Joe DeMare, and I'm here with my fantastic co-host,
Rebecca Wood.
Yes, and together Rebecca and I are crafting an hour of radio called For a Green Future. For a Green Future is a show where we talk about ecology and the environment, and we talk about them in the ways that they affect you, your wealth, your health, your happiness, the wealth and health and happiness of your friends and your family and your pets and the birds and the bees and the deer that are wandering around in people's yards and the ones that are out there in the forest and basically everyone and everything, because, like it or not, all of us are together on this wonderful planet called Earth. And
Are we really, though? I don't think I'm on Earth today.
well, you're at least physically on
Yeah,
Earth. I mean,
yeah.
mentally, you might be
Somewhere
wandering
else,
the
maybe,
stars,
yeah,
but
possibly.
but you're here in the studio with
Yeah.
me, and we got a good show lined up for you today. We're going to chat for another 10 minutes or so, and then we have an interview with our regular guest, Vina Colley, because there's been all sorts of things going on down there in southwest Ohio around the Piketon plant, the contaminated uranium enrichment area down there. We're going to get caught up on those things with her. Then we will hear from our fantastic patrons and sponsors, just incredible people. And then, Rebecca, it will be your turn at the mic. What have you got to talk about this week?
Ohio Cave Systems.
The Ohio Cave Systems. All right, that's great. And then it's ecological news from around the world. And hopefully at some point we're going to hear from you at 877-909-1007. That's 877-909-1007. So, looking forward to hearing from you, or you could also send us a text at 419-973-5841. That's 419-973-5841, and we will read your text on the air. So, yes, Rebecca and I are a little bit tired today because we had a great day yesterday.
We did.
Yes, we actually drove on out there to Columbus because one of our affiliate stations, actually the first station besides 100.7 FM in Toledo, we also air on WGRN in Columbus. And they were kind enough, Rebecca, you might want to grab your thing. They were kind enough to give us awards there. We were.
It's a major award.
A major award.
Yeah.
We were the 2026 WGRN Producers of the Year for our show For a Green Future.
Very cool.
So it was. So thank you.
Good on the mantelpiece, literally.
Yes.
It's next to my old cross stitch that my roommate made of my former dog.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Up there next to a cross stitch of Koga.
Place of honor.
Wow,
Yes.
that is cool. And so we were extremely happy to head on down there. And it was a great time. We hung out with a whole bunch of people. It's their 10th Earth Day birthday, because they started airing that program. That radio station started, WGRN started 10 years ago on Earth Day, and it's a great station. It's an all volunteer station, right? So it's
Cool people.
not for profit, and really cool people. And we got to meet and hang out with some of them, like Eugene Beer, who's their chief engineer and producer, and of course the great Tib Chavez, who keeps things going down there. And we ran into just one of our guests, Pat Merida, just happened to be there and
Hanging out.
and it was good food. It was a good time. Wonderful people, and we drove down there, of course, in the Wonder Van, which performed flawlessly as always. But it was a lot of driving, because I had to kind of drive up to Toledo from Bowling Green to get Rebecca, and then down to Columbus, and then back up to Toledo, then back down to Bowling Green. I actually had 6 hours of driving yesterday, and whenever I'm in that situation, I'm always like, I love the Wonder Van, but I would give it up in a minute if we had like public transit.
Yeah.
If we had a nice electric commuter rail, for example, that could take you between places like Toledo and Columbus. So electric vehicles are good. Electric public transit better. And it was kind of funny because almost all the cars in the parking lot at the church where we had this event were either EVs or plug-in hybrids.
And the bumper stickers were interesting too.
Yep, excellent.
Lots of bumper stickers.
Yeah. And like I said, it was a good time. We had good food. We heard some really nice people giving some talks there. And on the way home, for a little treat, and I think Rebecca's going to expand on this, we actually stopped at the Olentangy Caverns there.
Yeah.
Just outside of Columbus. And we wandered around in the caves down there for a little while. It was
neat.
cool.
They really are. They're very cavey. They're small, but they have a lot of stuff in them. Twists and turns and interesting formations.
Yeah, they got fossils and they got stalactites starting. And whenever I go down in a cave, you go down there and it's the same temperature year round because it's the geothermal heating keeps everything even. There's so much thermal mass in a planet that you get below the surface just a little bit. And these caves, the Olentangy Caverns, go down at the deepest point where you were wandering around in there, go down about 100 feet, which is, it's a respectable distance to be down under the earth.
Yep.
And at that place, it's always 55 degrees. And so this is why one of the new energy sources that's finally being tapped is what they call enhanced geothermal, which is basically it's like oil drilling in that you send a pipe pretty deep down in the earth. You go down like 1,000, 1,500 feet. And down there, as you go deeper into the earth, it gets hotter and hotter because you're getting closer to that, chocolatey molten core that's so delicious and, thousands of degrees down there. But you can go down, and as long as you have a place that's hotter than the other place, you can move energy around. And so you go down, like 1,500 feet, and it's, 2,000 feet, and it can be up to several hundred degrees, which is hot enough to have a working fluid, turn some turbines, and give you electricity. And the cool thing about that kind of enhanced geothermal is that it is absolutely steady. You know what I mean? You don't get variation, so you can generate the same amount of power 24/7 as long as you keep the pump circulating. And one of the best things about a station like WGRN, which is as I said, it's an all-volunteer station, and they've got a lot of wonderful environmental programs on there. But it is, there's hope there, and there's information. It's a source of information that allows you to take a look at the possible green future, the one that we're always trying to push for on this program, because we really do believe, fundamentally, this is an optimistic program. We talk about some depressing eco news sometimes, and we have a fair share of that in this week's environmental news. It's definitely not a good week for the environment. But
Life under Trump.
as long as you can get the information that there are alternatives, and as long as that information can be shared and that we can act on, we can make things better. And in fact, we are making things better, despite the best efforts of some people who seem to be bent on destroying the planet. And it's people like the people at WGRN that are making it happen. It's people who are willing to put the energy into doing something like keeping a radio station, a talk radio station going for free. People who are willing to, when they go buy that car, they go get the plug-in hybrid, the EV car. People who are willing to put solar panels on their house. People who are actually willing to do something are the ones that all over the world are making the change. And that, I think, is the most hopeful thing that I took from that trip over there to Columbus. And I was saying to Rebecca on the way, it was really nice to be driving to Columbus to do something positive instead of like trying to testify against some horrible thing that the Ohio legislature is planning to do.
That it is positive to testify against horrible things, but it's not necessarily the most fun,
Yeah, no, this was definitely more fun than any hearing I've been to. So, so once again, just thank you so much to the folks at WGRN. And if you want to
Nobody ever gives us free chili at hearings.
Yeah, there was free. It was a potluck. So it was like food, desserts. The cake was delicious.
Oh, the cake was good. I love the cake.
And we got little trophies.
Yeah.
So you could go to our YouTube version if you want to see them. They're actually quite handsome.
They are
little radio microphones that are kind of bronzed. It's cool. Okay, so enough celebration of that event. And now, unfortunately, we have to talk about some unpleasant things that are going on down in southern Ohio, in the Piketon area. And we have an interview with Vina Colley. So let's go to that interview now. Hello, and welcome back to For a Green Future. Could you please share with us your name and your organization?
My name is Vina Colley, and I'm president of the Portsmouth Piketon Residents for Environmental Safety and Security, and PRESS for the abbreviation.
Aha. And PRESS has been around for a while, right?
They've been around since 1987 or 88, and I've been around since 1983.
Mm-hmm. And what you focus on is the Portsmouth gaseous diffusion plant there in Piketon. Just give us a little background on that first, and then we'll talk about what's going on there right now.
Well, Piketon is the largest facility in the world. It's on 3,600 acres. It's so contaminated that I don't think they could ever have anything on site. The creeks are contaminated, the Cider River's contaminated, and they're demolishing all these buildings, and they're burying them on site with 12 waste cells. Mm-hmm. And these waste cells are sitting over top of the largest aquifer in the Midwest.
Mm-hmm. And what are they contaminated with?
Plutonium, technetium, uranium, cesium. The whole plant is contaminated with plutonium and neptunium and americia, and they have denied it all these years. But we were able to prove it with our documents in '99, and it helped the workers get their compensation under the Energy Employees Compensation Act. Mm-hmm. But they still deny there's no plutonium.
Oh, they deny there's plutonium, even though you found it.
They keep denying it, yes. And even though in 1999, our representatives came out and gave us a document, a letter stating that we were shipped plutonium straight in, undiluted. Mm-hmm. And so Piketon, what happened to Piketon, we were a uranium enrichment facility, and what they were doing, we were reprocessing or recycling transuranics that had plutonium and neptunium in it. And we've been doing that since 1954. And we got it in here from West Valley, New York, and Hanford. And that's been one of the biggest lies all these years, is the transuranics that's been here.
Mm-hmm. And so this cleanup, so that portion, that the enrichment has been shut down, but they've started it back up again. But there was a cleanup in progress, so the cleanup is still in progress, where they're tearing the buildings down, as you say. But now they're proposing to do a whole bunch of new stuff on that site.
Yes, Trump came in and said that he has a deal with Japan, and they have a deal with all these billionaires. And I'm real skeptic about the billionaires because a lot of them have not been really credible in the past. And so they're wanting to put small modular reactors here, the data center, and a gas power plant here, the largest in the world. And then they have Halo in the centrifuge that's running now, and they can make fuel for these data centers through Halo. And if we get the small modular reactors they want, they can also make the fuel for the data center through that. And so to me, it's going to be very highly radioactive. They've been producing Halo since October. They did a test run in October of 23, but they never shut it down.
And just remind us what HALEU means?
A high assay low enriched uranium. And I asked them what that means because it sounds to me like it's the same thing as reprocessing transuranics because it goes from high level to low level. And so I never get a good answer. They actually don't address the community whatsoever. They have a site specific advisory board, and the board is not allowed to answer any of our questions. I have been on them forever to put signs in the creeks because the creeks are radioactive and chemically combined. Little Beaver Creek has been that way. I found the documents at the EPA office in Logan in 92. And so we've been on them since 92 to put signs in these creeks, and still today they have not posted the signs. And these creeks go to the Cider River, and then 20 miles down goes to the Ohio River, and then this goes all the way up to the Mississippi. So it's not just this area that's being contaminated. We're contaminating a lot of people in the process of the water, not to mention the air.
And so these new proposals, I mean, you're getting hit with all sorts of things. You're getting hit with, you're already getting hit with enrichment, making, the uranium more radioactive so that it can be used in a nuclear power plant. And then they want to do, just going through it again, they want to do small modular reactors, which are reactors which typically don't have like the cement domes that keep neutrons from getting out. And so essentially the neutrons irradiate everything in the area, so the entire reactor becomes radioactive. So you got the small and now you've got data centers. They want to put data centers there. And tell us a little bit more about this natural gas plant, 10 gigawatts.
Yeah, it's 10 gigawatts, the largest natural gas plant in the world. My understanding, they have one up here in Havard Hill. I didn't even know that. And it was the largest one around. And its functioning is just a little different than ours. But it's been there for I don't know how long. And I just found out this information yesterday. But it's on a smaller scale than what they want at Piketon. Piketon will be the largest gas facility in the world. And the other thing that we're doing too is we have 25,000 of depleted uranium cylinders sitting out in the yard. They give off neutron exposures, and they're supposed to be redoing something to these DU cylinders. So there's a lot of nasty jobs here at Piketon.
Yeah, I guess so. Just the scale, I mean, 10 gigawatts, that's about as much as 10 full-blown nuclear power plants.
Yes.
And the amount of carbon dioxide a 10 gigawatt natural gas plant is going to put out is just...
You know what's surprising is they don't come to the community. They don't hold community meetings. We're the longest environmental group, and we've never been invited to any of these representatives that come to Piketon. They take them all out to the plant and they have a worker rally and they make it look like it's the community wanting all this when 65% of the workers don't even live in Pike County. They were from Scioto County, which is 25 miles away. But a lot of these workers, some of these workers have even drove 100 miles to come to work here. And then you have a lot of these contractors who come in, and on the weekends, they go back home. And so their money's not even being spent in this community. The workers don't even pay taxes on their paycheck to Pike County. There was a big uproar over that. And here we have Trump and the Japan and all of these billionaires thinking this is good for Scioto County and Pike County because of the jobs. But they never addressed the victims who have cancer. They never addressed the environmental pollution that this is going to cause. They just said, this is good for Pike. The guy in Chillicothe, Schmidt, I think's his name. He came and gave a big speech here. He lives in Chillicothe, so that's probably 50 miles away. So all these people, they come in here and say how good it is for us, but they don't even live in the community. And the Department of Energy and the Department of Defense, we're Department of Defense. That's why we're kind of untouchable. And they loan money into the community to push for jobs that they want. We just had a commissioner who got caught money laundering from these grants that's being put into the community. So they've kind of controlled us for years and years and years, and nobody really knows that they're the ones who comes into the commissioners and say, oh, we have these jobs for you. These are good jobs for you. And the commissioners, they sign these papers and they sign away our rights, actually, without coming to the community and asking any of us. It's devastating.
They're not just not coming to the community, but I understand some of them are actually signing secrecy agreements.
Yes, NDAs, I think they call them. Yes. We told them that they need to start having public meetings and let us know what kind of jobs that's going to come in here because we don't know anything about it until they sign these agreements, and by that time it's just too late.
And you folks actually are already paying the price. You mentioned cancer rates.
Yes. Joe Mangano, he's an epidemiologist, and he's went around every site in the United States, and he said that we have the highest rate of cancer of any site that he's ever been at. And they're not addressing it. It's like, who cares? We don't care if you're sick. It's not only just cancer, but it's all kind of illnesses. You know, I'm a former worker at the plant, and when I went to work at the plant, I was a healthy worker. And after about 3 years of working there, I became really sick. I had 3 tumors, a total hysterectomy, thyroid problems, congestive heart failure, digital heart failure. I had beryllium disease. I had neuropathy. I don't know how I still function, but I do. I guess my father and them had healthy genes, so that helped me a lot. But it's a battle every day to get up and have to take care of yourself and then have to keep fighting this plant who doesn't care about any of us. We are human guinea pigs to them. They sacrifice this community because they already know that we're sick. You can't even get on your Facebook that you're not seeing like 10 people with cancer and they're dying. I mean, all of my friends are pretty much gone now. So it's a horrible thing here, and for our representatives not to address this and hold public meetings and talk to the community about their cancers, about their illnesses. I think I heard that they wanted to take $4 billion and buy out the community. 40 billion, I think. They let these people drink contaminated water, technetium 99. When I was at the EPA office in 92, I found that a lady named Dorothy Dunham, her cistern was contaminated with Tech 99. And they did not tell her. I had to go to her home and tell her about her well. So this is the kind of people that we're dealing with. They are criminals.
And you had quite a collection of them. I think it was 2 weeks ago that came over. You had people from like Doug Burgum, Secretary of the Interior. You had a whole slew of people there sort of announcing these new projects.
I call these people opportunists. They don't care about any of us. They don't live here. And they don't care to do research, and they don't want their investors to know about what's going on here in Pike County. They figure that we are poor, dumb, stupid Appalachian people. And we're not so dumb. You know, we've educated ourselves about what's at the plant, what they've done to us. And there's lots of cancer groups around here now. I mean, the highest cancer rate of children above 107 national above for children childhood cancer. And so their children aren't dying of cancer, but the community kids are.
All right.
It's devastating to watch these kids.
Well, we wish you luck in the fight, Vina. Is there anything you'd like to add before we're done?
I think the government owes us. They need to come in and talk to all of us and stop having rallies for workers, for jobs. It's not about the jobs right now. It's about the health of the community, what they're doing to us. And of course, they're making money. They got these billionaires, and are they just investing because they need a way out for taxes? Or is this all really going to happen? We don't know. We know there's no proof that any of the small modular reactors work. So far, they haven't had any. But they keep promise all these people these jobs, and that's what they're looking at, because we don't have any jobs here. Only jobs we've ever had is through the Department of Defense and Department of Energy. And so we don't have jobs. And so when they come in and say, oh, we're going to put these data centers, going to hire all these construction workers, like 4,000 of them. But when reality is all over with, it's not going to be no more than 100 or 200. And so we're going to be more contaminated, our water. And what worries me too is these projects all take a lot of water. And once they start pumping this water, how's it going to affect our aquifer? No, it because I know the aquifer, I always thought it came south of the plant, but I guess it goes all the way up to Indiana. So people drink from our aquifer all the way up to Indiana. And then we discharge all this stuff in our creeks, and it goes all the way to Mississippi. But how do you get national people involved? Because we are contaminating them. We need national help here.
All right. Well, that was our interview with Vina Colley. And during the interview, we did actually get a text message, and someone just said, God bless her with good health. She is fighting for all of us, an FAGF listener. So thank you for that text. And if you'd like to text or call, you can text at 419-973-5841 at any time. Actually, you can text that even when we're not on the air if you have a comment or something. And, of course, the phone lines are open, 877-909-1007. Okay, Rebecca, your turn at the mic.
All righty.
So you're going to talk about something that we were actually inside of just yesterday.
We were. So, yeah, Ohio is surprisingly cavey. It has lots of caves and caverns. According to the SenecaCaverns.ohio.com site, it has 500 caves and caverns, just that they know of. A cavern being a large cave or large chamber within a cave. And according to, let's see, who is this? TWPD Texas.gov, which is the Texas Wildlife and something department. A cavern also needs to grow speleothems. A speleothem being a mineral deposit, mostly stalactites and stalagmites, which are the long sort of icicle things, looking things, or like teeth because they grow up from the top and the bottom, or it can be like a flow, like a sort of a flowy looking thing, or a couple of other different kinds of deposits. But this. Again, according to Seneca Caverns.ohio.com, these 500 caves and caverns are mostly in a 40-mile wide belt of limestone and dolomite that goes from north to south, from South Bass Island to Adams County on the Ohio River.
Wow.
So that's kind of cool. It developed mostly in the Columbus and Delaware formations, and kind of also in the Detroit River group of formations. So there's that. So some of these notable caverns and caves would be Ohio Caverns, Seneca Caverns, Olentangy Caverns, Crystal Cave, the world's largest geode, which is in South Bass Island, I believe.
Yes.
And the Hocking Hills State Park are good places for this stuff. So according to Walter Zona Nature Adventure Discovery channel on YouTube, Ash Cave is the deepest cave in Ohio, in the Hocking Hills. It's 100 feet deep, and it's the largest recessed cave in eastern North America. TripAdvisor believes that the top 10 caves in Ohio are Ohio Caverns, Old Man's Cave in the Hocking Hills, Ash Cave, Hocking Hills, Seneca Caverns, Perry's Cave on South Bass, Olentangy Caverns, White Gravel Mines, Chapel Cave, Deer Lick Cave, and something called the Tranquility Salt Cave, which I'm guessing is not a natural cave. it's a salt cave that is constructed so that you can go in and enjoy the alleged benefits of salt, of the pink salt stuff.
I don't know.
Salt.
There actually are salt
Yeah.
caverns. That is a way you can have a natural thing. Well, that's
Right.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And I've been inside the world's largest geode. It is definitely worth a look.
Yeah.
I'm embarrassed to say, I've actually never been to Hocking Hills.
Yeah.
So,
Me neither. I kind of been through them, and I've been to Mammoth Cave in Kentucky, which is really cool.
Yeah. Well, if anybody has been there, give us a call and tell us, is it worth a trip
Yeah.
to Hocking Hills to see the caverns?
It sounds like it would be.
1007.
Right.
All right. Well, thank you, Rebecca.
Welcome.
And of course, we should mention that all those caverns are created by water, like working its way through the limestone and dissolving it and hollowing it out.
Right.
basically.
Right.
Yeah. Neat. Okay. Now it's time to thank our patrons, and our patrons are fantastic people in every way. They're really well-rounded human beings. They've got good grasp of the arts and the sciences, and they're just the kind of people you'd like to meet at parties like the one we were at yesterday.
Yeah. Well, it does actually take a certain amount of intellectual discipline to listen to our show sometimes, I think. I think they've got it.
I guess that's a nice way of saying I get kind of long-winded there, isn't it?
Well, it's interesting stuff. Living in a big glass house when it comes into wanting to, sort of ramble on about interesting stuff.
Okay. So our patrons have gone to patreon.com. That's Patreon. There they searched for For Agreed Future. Up popped our Patreon page. They scrolled through looking at the interesting photos and picked a level of membership that matched their budget. Or they decided to make a one-time donation, which you can also do. And they just put in the information there. A little bit comes out of their account, comes over to us. And that's how we could afford to keep this fantastic show on the air. So thank you to our patrons.
Yes.
Okay, now on to ecological news. And as forewarned, it's not good this month. The Trump administration has decided to celebrate Earth Month by kind of trashing the Earth. And the first story is NEPA, the National Environmental Protection Act, and which is a law that's been around since 1970. And it requires the federal government to study the impact of any projected plans they wanted to do, any projects they wanted. It also requires them to take public comment and to do scientific analysis and transparency. That's an important part of NEPA, is transparency. So we know, okay, what company actually is trying to tear down this mountainside. Oh, and does that happen to belong to the politician who's pushing to tear down the mountainside?
Right.
Oh,
We
okay.
like knowing these things.
Yeah, well, what happened on April 7th? Well, no, actually it happened on April 2nd. The USDA released their final rulemaking on wiping out NEPA. And this is a good story on that in Alt National Park Service post on Facebook on April 9th. It's also covered in a lot of other places. But essentially what they're saying is that they have to do studies in an extremely short amount of time, and they've gotten rid of things like the public comments on a lot of these projects. So, if the public doesn't know about it and can't comment on it, you kind of have to wonder, is this democracy anymore? Or is this just governing by fiat from the executive branch? The website, USDA's website, is just full of, boasting and propaganda. They said that this will eliminate all the harm caused by NEPA reviews.
Oh, great.
And I was like,
And
harm?
It's gonna eliminate all the benefits too.
Yeah. I what is the harm of actually knowing what a project is going to do in terms of wrecking the environment or hurting endangered
But Joe,
species?
won't someone think of the shareholders?
Apparently somebody is, because they're really they reduced. What they did is they took different organizations under USDA, and the USDA covers like the Forest Service, the Farm Service, the Natural Resource and Conservation Service. There's like seven different agencies that each had a NEPA process that was based on their agency. For example, the National Resource Conservation Service had a slightly different NEPA process from the Farm Service because, they're trying to do different things. One is trying to conserve natural resources. The other is trying to help farmers. And so they had different NEPAs. What happened is the USDA collapsed all those different NEPAs into one NEPA, which pretty much cuts the public out of the process. On April 2nd, the Sierra Club had filed a lawsuit because they pointed out that the USDA has fast-tracked a lot of these federal projects and that the Trump administration has shut the public out of national forest projects, wildlife killing, all sorts of, like APHIS is an agency that exists to kill wildlife, and the public has been able to comment, please stop killing grizzly bears in this area because they're endangered. Now, not only does the public not get to comment on it, the public doesn't get to know that they're doing it. So it's
Great.
basically, it puts the federal government into secrecy in terms of what they're doing to hurt the environment. There were 150,000 comments in opposition to this rule change. AGs of
I think
17
so.
states wrote in and said, don't make this rule change. A lot of tribal governments said, don't make the rule change, but they went ahead and did it anyway. And I have a personal story about public comments that is kind of interesting. That when I was working for Genesee Community College back in Western New York, there was a plan by the Army Corps of Engineers to take about 500,000 acres, clear cut it, bulldoze it, and put a pond or a dam that would seasonally, when there was high spring rains, would fill up with a temporary lake in order to prevent flooding in, the suburbs of Buffalo, which were downstream on the mighty Tonawanda River. And, they had the plan all laid out. They were all set to go for it, but they started doing NEPA review and getting public comments. And one of the geologists who taught at Genesee Community College made the public comment, well, your proposed reservoir is right on top of a fault line. And if you put the billions of tons of water on top of it that you say you're going to, it will trigger earthquakes and destroy the dam. and cause, massive flooding.
It's
And-
good to know things like that
Yeah.
that members of the public might be aware of.
Right, because he was a geologist. He knew the geology of the area, as opposed to the Corps of Engineers guys out of Washington, D.C., who just thought, oh, this would be a great thing, and they scrapped the plan.
Good.
Right.
That's good thinking right there.
I know. So sometimes the public
That's why
knows
Western New
things.
York is not a giant hole in the ground now.
Yeah,
Filled with
yeah.
water.
Well, what would have happened is the city of Tonawanda would
Oh.
have been washed into Lake Erie.
Right. Bye-bye.
All right, so that didn't happen thanks to public comment on a federal project, which are now not only are the comments gone, but the actual knowledge of what the government is allowing to happen is gone.
Jeez.
And so this actually ties in with our second story.
I think in a democracy, it's kind of important to know what your government is doing,
Yes, you can't really vote on things if you don't know they're happening.
Yeah.
The idea of having a vote is kind of meaningless.
You don't really have a vote
if you
don't
don't
know
really
what's
know
going on.
like one party or one politician or one government agency or other is
Right.
doing. So, and along those lines, continuing in their Earth Month, Earth destruction process, the federal government has pretty well dismantled the Forest Service. In the Guardian story on April 10th, illegal Forest Service overhaul risks causing chaos across the U.S. public lands, union claims. And this actually happened on March 30th that the Trump administration announced they were going to close all 9 regional offices of the Forest Service. They fired 90% of their firefighters because,
But firefighters?
yeah, the ones that fight the fires in the national forests.
Haven't there been a lot of fires lately?
There have, interesting
So what? We're gonna
observation,
go all
Rebecca.
volunteer in that, or just be like, okay, bye bye, summer house.
Well, what they've been doing when the fire actually happens is they scramble and try to hire everybody back again.
Oh Lord.
So, but they're firing them in
because
the
who could predict
meantime.
that fires would happen in the summer like they have
Af-
forever?
after droughts. Which have been going for
Yeah.
months and months.
Oh my God.
They're also moving the headquarters of the Forest Service to Salt Lake City, which the reason they're doing that is that the state government in Utah has been the lead agency in the country in trying to dismantle the Forest Service. And
How far is the nearest forest from Salt Lake City?
there's Forest Service land in Utah. There's some
Okay,
Forest
wow.
Service land that is right up against Salt Lake City. Yeah.
Mm.
But they're replacing the regional offices with politically appointed state directors, and they fired about 70% of the staff. So, so the National Federation of Federal Employees, the union that represents those 70% of the staff that have been fired, have pointed out, and they filed suit already saying that the law actually explicitly prohibits the Trump administration from doing this.
Yeah.
The law says it blocks relocating, and and also they also has stopped research projects because there's a lot of research going on in the forest that the Forest Service does to see what practices hurt the forest the most, what hurt, and you have to have plots of land that you check on and you measure the tree growth and what plants are there and so forth. And they've shut those down. So we no longer know. We'll no longer know the effects of all these.
I keep
logging
thinking about what
practices.
the Red Green show. There's that one Possum Lodge member or character who is a ranger, but it turns out they stopped paying him to live in the fire tower 10 years ago. He just
yeah.
lives there now.
Right, Gordo. Right, yeah.
He's just a homeless guy who lives in the tower.
And likes to keep his uniform. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of like that. That could be happening. Yeah. So bad news from the Forest Service. So hopefully the NFEE, the National Federation of Federal Employees union, will succeed in their lawsuit because the Trump administration literally broke the law to do this. So they just ignored it. They're like, that's a law. So what? All right. According to the NFFE. Okay, so I had to follow that up with some good news. Norwegian Nuclear Committee says no to nuclear power in Norway. And what happened is This is a story in EnergyWatch.com on April 8th. What happened is that the Norwegian government convened a panel of actual experts. We're talking physicists, technical people, economics professors, people with experts in ethics and law and social sciences. And they took a year and a half and they looked at all the data on nuclear power and they said, no, it sucks. They said it's too expensive, it's too slow. And they said that right now the energy sources in Norway produce electricity for about 5 cents per kilowatt hour on average. And Norway has a lot of hydropower, so they're good that way. And they've got a lot of wind too. So, but they said that, so it's 5 cents per kilowatt hour now. They said in order to start building nukes, you would have to increase the electricity cost to 10 cents. You'd have to double the cost of electricity.
Jeez.
And one of the nice concluding sentences, the committee does not see any sound socioeconomic justifications for the government to support the establishment of nuclear power. And of course, they talked about nuclear wastes and the probability of accidents. And so this follows Hawaii did a very similar study. And so whenever you convene actual objective experts who look at all the facts and are charged with making a report, they come back and say nukes suck. So listen to the experts. Don't listen to all these paid influencers that are flooding the internet with how wonderful nuclear is, because they're lying, and according to the Norwegian Nuclear Committee, not just us. Okay, next story, going to Canary Media on April 10th. And this is another feel-good story. This is a really good one.
Oh, good.
Title, In a First, Renewables Beat Natural Gas on U.S. Grid Last Month. And they're talking about March 2026. And for the first time in history, wind and solar provided the biggest part of the energy on the United States grid. More than natural gas. They just passed each other. That was like very close. Natural gas and renewables were just shy. Both of them were just shy of 40% of the power. So together they provided about 80% of the power, but renewables provided more than the natural gas. And part of the reason was that March was actually a record wind power month.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That jives with my recollections.
Yes, it was extremely. And the interesting thing that they point out in the Canary Media article is that this is happening even as demand is going up because of things like data centers.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Even as demand goes up, the market share of renewables is going up.
Nice.
So it's providing a higher and higher percentage of what we need, even as what we need increases. So it is, it's very nice. So renewables were number one in March. And, the naysayers are like, oh, well, that only happened for, a couple days and blah, 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 blah. But the important thing here is the trend. The trend is renewables going up, natural gas going down.
Yeah.
And of course, poor, sad nuclear and coal were way down at the bottom, just a fraction of what gas and renewables were providing. Nuclear continues its long, slow, painful decline. Nuclear power, it's kind of like nuclear power is a good argument for euthanasia.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like suffering. It's bleeding money. It's kind of unredeemable. You're not going to bring it back from despite
Go to the light, nuclear
yes,
industry.
nuclear power, nuclear industry. Go to the light. It's okay. You can let go.
Yeah.
So nukes and coal were both down. Solar and batteries, again, in 2025 are providing most of the new generation in the country. And again, that's what's scheduled for 2026. And there's a great graph in that Canary Media story that if you look at it, it just gives you hope, that we might still turn this whole thing around. Okay, another hopeful story. And this is abc.net.au, and AU stands for Australia. And the title is Record Electric Truck Sales in March as Historic Price Parity with Diesel Achieved.
Yep.
And that story was on April 9th. And what has happened is China has gotten into the electric truck business in a big way, and they are finally mass producing them at a rate where the price for a new diesel truck is the same as a price for a new electric truck. And this has led to a 500% increase in electric truck sales in Australia
Very cool.
compared from February to March. They're still only just over 1% of truck sales, so they've still got a ways to go.
Good on you, mates.
But yes, very good, Australia. And China, of course, is well on its way to electrifying its entire truck fleet. In 2025, a quarter of truck sales were electric. That's 230,000 new trucks on Chinese highways. And part of the reason is that not only are the trucks getting cheaper over there, but they've invested in massive numbers of chargers. They have megawatt level chargers, and they have what's called supercharging corridors on their main roads. So
Okay.
it's kind of the equivalent of the turnpike.
Right.
If at every rest stop you had a megawatt level charger.
Mm.
And so they've got one like every 50 kilometers that can provide 200 kilowatts. Or they
Do you
can
remember
provide,
when we were coming back from Washington, D.C.,
Uh-huh.
and you spent like 45 minutes trying to inform this company that their electric thing wasn't working?
their electric car charger didn't
Yeah.
work?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of a stark difference.
Mhm.
But we tried to plug in and get some lunch, but it was very frustrating. So, but in China, every 50 kilometers, there's a charger that'll give a truck 200 kilometers
I
of
think
range.
it's Kat who was in there saying, he's trying so hard to do the right thing.
Well, it makes a difference.
Yeah.
Every electric mile
Yeah,
is
true.
that's 8 pounds of CO2 you're not putting into the
You gotta
atmosphere.
fight for your right to party sometimes.
Exactly,
Yeah.
right. And so they could put 200 kilometers of range on a truck in a 15-minute charge. So it's good. And there was also a story that a truck, one of these new electric trucks, went from Sydney to Canberra, and they compared the electric cost to the diesel cost, and it was 84% cheaper to make the same trip. So if you're paying the same amount for the truck and you're saving 84% on your fuel costs, people expect that 500% increase to keep going there. Okay, final story, and this one is a somber note again. Axios Energy sent this out as an email and a story they've got, and essentially J.P. Morgan has contracted with a company called Graphite for carbon capture.
Okay.
And carbon capture is a scam, right?
Right.
We know that from our good friend Mark Jacobson at Stanford University,
Yep.
because all the energy you use to capture that carbon is actually better spent just generating electricity in the first place so that you
Right.
don't create the carbon.
Righty-ho.
Right. I mean, that makes sense, right? It's less
does.
complicated to just generate electricity with clean sources and use it than it is to generate electricity with the dirty sources and then try to capture the carbon the dirty sources created and then try to store it somehow forever.
Yeah.
But the reason I plucked this story out is because this is a different take on carbon capture. They're not capturing exhaust. What they're doing is they're grinding up forests and burying them.
What?
Yeah,
That seems like the opposite of what you should do.
yeah. Well, they're saying that what you could do is you could do forest thinning to prevent forest fires, which
Yeah, that's not how it works.
no, that we've actually had guests on talking about that whole practice, which is wrong. You don't. All you do when you thin the forest is you open it up so that it burns more quickly. But still, it's happening. It's a government program in a lot of places that Trump loves, because remember, he wants all our forests to be swept and vacuumed.
Yeah.
Might remember that from his campaign. But so doing that is wrong in the first place. But once you
They're
do
very
that,
dusty too. You know?
Yes. But once you do that, then you've got all these piles, these massive truckloads of forest of ex forest that you've chopped up and ground up, and so there's no real market for them. So what this company had its brilliant idea is to basically pack them into the ground and bury them. So J.P. Morgan has contracted with this company to do 60,000 tons of forest burying over the next 10 years. And not only is this a waste of money, but 60,000 tons is literally 1/20,000th of the output of one coal plant, the Prairie State Coal Plant in Illinois. And so it's just spending a lot of money, a lot of energy in order to do something which is ineffective. And it's just a losing proposition from every angle that you look at it. So let's hope that this company goes bankrupt and can't get any more contracts, and bad on J.P. Morgan, who is doing this to be, quote unquote, environmentally responsible. Yeah, I know, because they're capturing carbon, but it's actually the opposite is
But
true.
they're capturing carbon that they
Yeah, they're capturing carbon that they
okay.
created. So,
I don't want no
That's like,
oil, a
just
spoil in
scattering
my
the trash
shoreline.
everywhere and then going around picking it up.
right, and say, look how environmentally responsible
Yeah,
we are, because
yeah.
we're picking up the
I
trash
like
that we
birds and
created.
things.
Well, all right. Well, sorry it was such a downer in terms of ecological news, but we're still kind of high from getting our prizes there yesterday. Thank you again, WGRN, and thank you to all our affiliate stations. All right, I hear the music. This is Joe DeMare,
And Rebecca Wood.
and we are signing off.
Got us fussing and fighting, and I do believe it's time we was done. I don't want them nukes run by them kooks who think radioactivity is fun. No more three-headed frogs or kids with leukemia. Nuclear power ain't fit for a dog. The sun done give us all we need to make this country run. But that nuclear power's got us fussing and fighting, and I do believe it's time we was done. No nukes!